guys, welcome to my best books of September. Um, I'm doing this in a different location. I thought it might be kind of fun to have the fall leaves behind me. We live in an area with a lot of maple trees, although they've kind of gone past a lot of the red and orange into the yellow already. They just go so fast. I also have my tripod in a different location, so we're trying a new location. I don't think I really like it because I'm too backlit, but whatever. We'll do it in a different place next time. I am also filming this for the first time on my Flip 4 or Flex 4. I always want to call it Flex 4, Flip 4, the Galaxy phone that flips open. I got a new phone. I was using a OnePlus 8T to film everything, but I've been having it's like 2 or 3 years old at this point, and I was having a lot of trouble with battery and stuff, so I did go ahead and get a new phone. So we'll see how it works. I don't know how the video quality is going to be. I'm not quite sure on the sound quality, and I haven't really spent a lot of time messing with it. So you can see my ring light in the back of the window there, which kind of is sucky, but we'll work on it. All right, so getting in to the best books of September, I did have quite a few I read. I was kind of in the end part of studying for my patent bar exam. So I actually didn't read a ton of books in September, but I was trying to pick authors and books that I was really excited to read so that I would read them, and they provided a nice escape from everything else I was working on. We also had COVID. I may have mentioned my last one. We came back from vacation like the last week of August, ended up testing positive for COVID, and I was pretty sick for a couple weeks. I'm better now. I do need to get back into doing more exercise because having COVID made me get behind on studying. And so then I was like trying to catch up on studying, which meant I dropped a lot of my workout routine, but trying to get back into that. So yeah. All right. There were 3 books that I read out of I think I only read like 12 books or 8 books or something like that in September, but 6 books of them I really liked. 6 of those books I really liked. The first one I read and really enjoyed was Into the Riverlands, the 3rd book in the Singing Hills cycle by Nebo. I did give this 5 out of 5 stars. I really just like the Singing Hills cycle series. These are novellas. They're kind of historical fantasies. And this one was interesting. The cleric goes into the Singing Hills and it's had a lot more action than the other 2 books and gets involved in this. Initially, it just seems kind of like a battle to help this village, but she finds out it's tied into this kind of mythic legend story, and I just love the storytelling in these. They're stories about a cleric who goes around and collects stories, so I think it's just very fascinating, and they're always very well written and very entertaining reads, so I really love that. The second one I read and really liked in September was the 16th October Day book, and that is Be the Serpent by Shauna McGuire. The October Day series continues to be my favorite series by Shauna McGuire. It's just, at this point, I'm just like, I feel like the characters are part of my family because I've been reading about them for like at least 16 years. I got the first book in that series as a arc for review, so very much attached to those characters, and I feel like the story just keeps getting better and better. And I'm not going to say a lot more about it just because spoilers, like if you're not that far into the series, anything I talk about is going to be spoilers for earlier books. The 3rd book I read and really enjoyed was a T. Kingfisher book, 9 Goblins. I have been reading a lot of T. Kingfisher. I started reading a couple of her other like fairy tale type retelling books for review, and then got into the Clock Tower War series, and we listened to Saints of Steel series in the car on our recent road trip. I mentioned that. So 9 Goblins is a fantasy novella by her. It was actually one of my favorite books I've read by her. It's about a troop of 9 goblins that accidentally gets sent behind enemy lines during this elven goblin war that's been going on forever. And it's just very fun and very cute, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It's a nice, quick, fun read. And I've been valuing nice, quick, fun reads. The 4th one I had on my list for September is Record of a Spaceborne Few. This is the 3rd book in the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. Becky Chambers is another author. I've been trying to like read everything by her, and I think I am there now. I think I just finished the 4th book in the Wayfarer series, so I'll talk about that later, like next month. But Record of a Spaceborne Few was amazing. It was about the human Exodus fleet. So the humans that left Earth and still live in spaceships. They never decided to go live planetside again. And you're kind of following like their lifestyle, and it goes through kind of the issues of them trying to incorporate alien cultures into their culture, and people in their culture who want to actually live planet side. They want to leave the fleet and live planet side. And so just very interesting. Humans have not been the focus of the series really, and it was kind of fun to just learn about the spacefaring here humans that have always lived in these ships. So really liked it, and would recommend the Wayfarer series if you like science fiction, but they're science fiction more like space opera. Like they're more about the aliens and the characters and them trying to live their lives out in this weird world. All right, next book in the series, or on my list, the fifth book on my list of books I really liked in September is Sojourn by Jana Oliver. You could say Jane Oliver. This is the first book in the Time Rover series, and I really loved it. I was a huge fan of Jana Oliver's Demon Trapper series, and she's written some standalones that I haven't liked quite as much, but this Time Rovers book was amazing. It's set in future Earth where time travel has been discovered, and there are companies that send people back into time as tourists. And the main character we follow, she works for one of these companies, and her job is to sometimes accompany the tourists, but mostly go back and retrieve tourists that didn't come back. Like they missed their trip back home, or they've gotten out of communication or whatever. And she ends up getting sent back into Victorian London during, like, right before the Jack the Ripper murders happen. And there are certain places in time where people aren't supposed to travel back to, and this is one of them. And she's getting very close to like the Jack the Ripper time, and she's trying to find this tourist guy, and she ends up getting very involved with some of the main characters in Victorian London. And it was just really well done. There's a neat plot like that's set in the near future when time travel is available. There's a very good mystery plot set in Victorian London, and everything ties together really wonderfully, and I'm very much looking forward to. There's 2 more books in the series, and I'm really excited to read them. All right, and then the last one, the 6th one I read in September that I really loved is Minor Mage by T. Kingfisher. This is another novella by Kingfisher. Again, it was probably one of my favorite books by her. It follows a young man, a 12-year-old mage who is a very minor mage. His main spell that he can do is to stop his allergies to armadillos, because he has a armadillo familiar. And his village hasn't gotten any rain for a long time, and the villagers get a little bit hostile towards him. They have decided, since he is their only mage and their minor mage, and his mom is in the army and she's off for a couple weeks somewhere else, that they're going to send him on a quest to bring rain back to the village. It was just a very well done story. It's, again, very humorous, very heartfelt, wonderful world building, really interesting magic, and I really liked it. And it was another short, fun read that I just needed during this last month. So with that, those are the 6 books that I read in September that I really loved. There were quite a lot of them, percentage-wise, considering I didn't read a ton of books in September. And the reason for that, of course, is I've been studying for my patent bar exam, and I actually took it Friday, so I'm recording this on a Saturday, and it'll post next Saturday. But on Friday, I went and I took my patent bar exam. I don't ever want to do something like that again. I passed, so that's excellent news for me and for everybody who is helping me out. I kind of want to put a shout out to all my work people who the week before I took it, this last week, really were trying to help me out with work and not giving me much to do. They were like, you need to concentrate, you need to study, just make sure you're ready for this. And another shout out to the wonderful testing center I went to. The ladies there were fantastic. They got me in, they got me going. They were great about, when I took breaks, about checking me in and out fast. And because, I'm getting to be an older woman, I do need to take some bathroom breaks during this 6-hour test. So they were great about that. I ended up passing. I swear to God, I almost had a heart attack. Like at the end, the screen just had the refresh thing going forever, and I'm waiting for it to let me know if I passed this or if I failed it. Because if I failed it, it was going to be a process. Like, you get your score, your results in a few weeks, and then you have to schedule a review session at the test center to go over what you got wrong. And then in a couple months, they'll let you retake it. And of course, you have to pay, hundreds of dollars for the review session, hundreds of dollars to retake it. And not to mention that this test center is an hour away from my house. So they wanted me there at 7 in the morning. So I had to get up at like 5 and get ready and get out and drive down there. And it was very stressful. And going up to it, like I was just studying. I didn't even know what else to study. I was so stressed out about it. So I passed. That is behind me. I should get my patent agent registration number in a couple weeks. Actually, they'll send so they gave me my preliminary score, which was pass. I did look online. Nobody who has gotten a pass as a preliminary score has been informed that they failed later. So I need to await my official letter, which will be in a week or so. And then after that, I have to go through like a whole bunch of background checks and stuff. And then I'll get my agent registration number. Some people have asked me, why are you doing this? I know over the course of this channel, I've complained a few times. I have a background as a chemical engineer. I also have a degree in information technology. Working as a material science engineer at 3M has been an amazing experience. I've worked basically at a few different companies, but they're all somewhat linked to 3M in one way. Like the one I started at in college had been part of 3M and was spun off, and then they sold off part of us, and then they sold off us again, and then I ended up at 3M. So I've been at 3M for another almost 12 years now, and working as an engineer there is amazing. It was just getting to be a lot for me, especially during the pandemic. There's a lot of travel. It's very stressful, and I feel like the engineers and the scientists there have a hard job. I mean, there's a lot that's expected to them. They're doing the product development, and we had a ton of retirements in my group right before I left that job, and it was just, they were just expecting so much. And I'm not complaining about a challenge, but they're expecting you to do development work, do the manufacturing development, support all the manufacturing runs. Now you're also a product engineer, and you're also doing some quality work, and it was just like a lot. And as I'm getting older, it gets a lot harder for me to go travel last minute, potentially do overnight run coverage, sometimes work for 24 hours at a time. I think the longest I ever was awake at a run coverage, and it was not at 3M, was 48 hours. And I just struggle to do this. I know I'm getting older. I want a little bit more control over my life, right? All these trips and all this, not to mention all the chemical exposure. My specialty is formulation chemistry. So I'm doing a lot of lab work with a lot of different chemicals and a lot of flammables, and it just gets to be, it's a lot of lifting, and like a lot of the chemical solvent things are over 70 pounds, and I'm lifting those a lot and moving around 300-pound waste drums, and it's just, you're kind of expected to do it all. And I had some help off and on through interns and technicians, but as I said, I was just getting older. I felt like I needed a change. Way back when I graduated with my engineering degree, my long-term goal was to go get a degree in law. I was particularly patent law. I was somewhat discouraged from doing that from some patent lawyers I did talk to. They said, it'd probably be best if you worked in your technology field for a few years. That went into like life, right? So like, okay, I'll work as a research scientist for a few years. And then like we bought a house, had a kid. My husband has had a couple companies we've started off and on, and my son is older now in high school, and my husband has always had stable work. He just likes to do a lot of contracting and new businesses and stuff. And so it was always important for one of us to have benefits and stability. But my son is older. We're very stable. I decided it was time to make a big change. So I had mentioned I took a job as an intellectual property liaison back in December. And part of that was they really like their liaisons to have a patent agent registration. Now, I really do like my job as a liaison. I'm enjoying it a lot. I get to still work with all the technology and work with all the researchers, but I don't have to do overnight coverage. I don't have to travel at the drop of a hat. I'm not getting a ton of chemical exposure. So really enjoying that. But I do know as I go on, if I want to go into part-time work after, like 5 to 10 years or something like that, working as a patent agent is kind of a nice way to do that. it also gives me a skill that's not linked so closely to one company. So like I can work as a patent agent for a law firm. I can work on a contract basis. I can work part-time. I can work full-time. Basically, I would own my own docket of um, invention applications, of patent applications. And I am excited to get to that point. So we'll see. It's just a very nice certification kind of degree to have under my belt. And I think it will be very helpful going forward to just have that. So there's my very long explanation of why I did all of this. For those of you who want to hang on here a little more, the patent bar exam is a 6-hour exam that tests you on the, I think it's 3,000 page manual of patent examination or preparation, examination, processing, something like that, prosecution, something like that. It's the MPEP, you'll hear it called. And it does take through, you can usually study for it about 3 months if you study full time. I did not study full time, so I took about 6 months to study for it. It does take about 200 to 300 hours to study for. So I was studying when in the beginning about 2 hours a day. The last couple months it was about 4 hours a day, and then the last week it was about 8 hours a day. It takes a lot of commitment to study for it. Highly recommend if you ever decide to do this, which it's not a very common thing to do, but if you do, there's a course called PLI that you can register for. It is a little bit expensive. It is a couple $1,000s, but they tell you what to focus on because it's impossible to study this whole thing. What passing this gives you is the ability to get a patent agent registration number and to work with submitting patents and intellectual property with the patent office. So I'm not a lawyer now. I am an agent, and that means that I can prosecute patents, but I cannot litigate patents. So I will not be in court doing this kind of thing, but I can draft and prosecute office actions for the patents. And honestly, if you look at pay scale for like a patent attorney versus a patent agent taps out at maybe $10,000 less than a patent attorney. And let me tell you, I do not want to go back to law school. Talk about expensive. So yes, that is why I did this whole fiasco. And I'm so grateful that I passed and so grateful to be done. I'm just been honestly eating and sleeping and watching TV the last couple of days and reading. I haven't been doing a lot of anything, but I am pretty backed up on like maintaining my blog, maintaining this YouTube channel. We need to like get our going into fall winter work done. So blowing out sprinklers, yard work, all of that. I'm behind on everything. I'm behind on maintaining friendships. I've been a pretty bad friend the last 6 months to a lot of my friends, and they have been very understanding, and I appreciate that because I've been canceling out on things to study. I've been forgetting to schedule things. It's just been a very big deal. And I know that this is a big, the reason I'm taking the time to talk about this on my channel is I know that my channel has gotten very thin the last year or so. And this is why I switched jobs. I decided to do this. It's been very stressful and I'm done with it now. My husband also just switched jobs. So he had a more stable job as an employee. He quit that and we restarted up our company a couple weeks ago. So in the midst of all this, he actually did the work to do that. We started up our company and he is now contracting because he just makes so much more contracting and he's always under my benefits anyways. So yes, it's been a year, and throw in a couple weeks of COVID in there. And I think we took 3 vacations over the summer, and I'm looking forward to just being here. And that being said, in a couple weeks, we are going to go to Gamehole Con. I'm very excited about that. So that is upcoming. It's one of my favorite things to do. Our whole family, like we will do these more expensive vacations out to national parks and stuff. But our favorite thing to do is just to go to like Gamehole Con or Gen Con and hang out and play games. So very much looking forward to that. And I have gone on way too long. So I hope that you enjoyed hearing about my best books that I read in September and that you enjoyed this long diversion on what I've been doing the last year. And I hope to be doing more videos now. I'm super excited to get back to, not that I didn't enjoy learning about patent law, but it was very interesting, but I'm excited to get back into some hobbies, start playing video games, read more, do more videos, all that kind of stuff. And with that, if you have any great books that you read in September, please mention them down below. I'm always looking for wonderful new books to read. And I hope you read a lot of great books in the upcoming week. I will have a Stacking the Shelves for the last month coming up next Saturday. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.